Part 5. Espionage Incarnate Part 1. The Empire of Celestia, having lost their asteroid belt outpost base to Dr. Erebus in his own new rival empire, then decides to attempt to uncover the secrets of a mysterious alien artifact discovered on a moon before Dr. Erebus can get to it, and thus, their attempted research into it begins. Unbeknownst to the Empire of Celestia, Dr. Erebus has already sent a covert team of agents to sabotage their research efforts and secure the alien artifact for himself. The engineers and workers must navigate a dangerous game of espionage while trying to complete their mission. The agents sent by Dr. Erebus successfully sabotage the Empire of Celestia's research efforts, but in their haste, they accidentally trigger a self-destruct mechanism on the artifact, causing it to explode and scatter its fragments across the moon's surface. Dr. Erebus, having successfully disrupted the Empire of Celestia's research efforts, decides to infiltrate their headquarters on Earth, seeking to learn their deepest secrets and solidify his power over them. He dispatches his most trusted agent, codenamed Nemesis, to carry out the mission. Nemesis is a master of stealth and espionage, trained to navigate the most treacherous of environments. As Nemesis infiltrates the heavily fortified compound, he uses his advanced suit to cloak himself from detection, blending seamlessly into the shadows. Inside the headquarters, Nemesis encounters a labyrinth of heavily guarded corridors and security checkpoints. He avoids direct confrontation, using his agility and intelligence to bypass security measures and slip past guards undetected. After hours of careful navigation, he finally reaches the heart of the compound, the inner sanctum of the Empire of Celestia's most highly classified research division. The room is filled with rows of computers, state-of-the-art equipment, and shelves lined with arcane tomes and ancient scrolls. Nemesis knows that the information he seeks will be stored here, but he also knows that he must be careful not to trigger any alarms or alert the researchers to his presence. He begins his search methodically, quickly identifying a series of hidden access panels and hidden compartments that contain the classified data he seeks. As he works, he becomes aware of a faint humming sound emanating from a sealed chamber in the center of the room. Curiosity getting the better of him, Nemesis decides to investigate. He bypasses the security systems and manages to force open the chamber door. Inside, he finds a massive supercomputer, larger than any he's ever seen. Its glowing blue display panels flicker with patterns of light, and the humming sound grows louder as it draws him in.
Dr. Erebus, monitoring Nemesis' progress from his secret lair, recognizes the significance of this discovery. The supercomputer, codenamed Athena, is the Empire of Celestia's most advanced and secretive project. It is capable of conducting simulations and calculations far beyond the reach of any other computer in existence. The knowledge stored within Athena could potentially give Dr. Erebus the edge he needs to defeat his rival and secure his place in the universe. He decides to issue a new order to Nemesis: retrieve any data stored on Athena at all costs. Nemesis, intrigued by the prospect of unlocking the secrets of the Empire's most prized possession, begins to carefully extract the data from Athena's memory banks. As he works, he becomes aware of a fail-safe mechanism designed to destroy the computer if someone other than a trusted member of the research team attempts to access it. Nemesis, undeterred, continues his efforts. He disables the fail-safe mechanism and manages to successfully transfer the data to a secure memory drive. With the information in hand, he exits the chamber and rejoins Dr. Erebus, who eagerly awaits his return. As Nemesis hands over the data, he feels a surge of pride in his accomplishment and the knowledge that he has delivered a crippling blow to the Empire of Celestia. The Empire of Shadowstein then decides to attempt to colonize the planet of Saturn, and thus the attempted colonization and possible necessary conquest begins. Shadow Emperor Alpha is cautious, however, as Saturn is home to a much more advanced and sophisticated civilization than anything they have encountered on Jupiter. They are a peaceful people, but they are also incredibly powerful and knowledgeable. The Shadow Emperor Alpha knows that he must tread lightly and carefully, lest he provoke a war with this mighty civilization. But he knows that even if war does happen, his empire would come out on top easily enough. And if there ends up being too much bloodshed, he could do what he did on the moon and peacefully end the war in an instant if need be. The Shadow Emperor Alpha's flagship, the Grand Admiral, descends toward the surface of Saturn, flanked by a massive fleet of warships and support vessels. As they approach, they see the vast city ships of the Saturnian civilization, glittering like jewels in the light of the gas giant's rings. The atmosphere is thick with a sense of anticipation and trepidation. The Saturnian people, upon seeing the approaching fleet, gather on the decks of their city ships, gazing out at the massive armada with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. They have heard rumors of the Shadow Emperor Alpha's empire, and while they are intrigued by its military might and technological advancements, they are also wary of its intentions. In truth, to Shadow Emperor Alpha, this colonization was really just gaining more land for the Empire, and only that. He needed a break from personally important colonization and conquest for at least one planet. This was more so like a god doing something purely out of boredom, and just to pass time and occupy their mind. The Saturnians, on the other hand, saw it as a challenge to their sovereignty and a threat to their very existence. The leaders of the Saturnian civilization huddled together in their grand chamber, debating on how best to approach this new development. Some advocated for peaceful negotiations, while others called for war. The Shadow Emperor Alpha, knowing that war could come at any moment, had prepared his fleet to the best of his abilities. His ships were sleek and powerful, equipped with advanced weapon systems and shields that could withstand even the mightiest of attacks. His soldiers were trained to the highest standards, disciplined and ready to engage in battle at a moment's notice. The Saturnians, on the other hand, were more focused on peaceful coexistence and scientific progress. They had achieved great strides in technology, medicine, and even the arts, but had neglected their military might. As the Grand Admiral docked at one of the Saturnian city ships, a large gathering of representatives from both sides met to discuss terms of peace and potential trade agreements. The Shadow Emperor Alpha was accompanied by his most trusted advisors and generals, while the Saturnians were represented by their wisest elders and most accomplished scientists. The air was tense as they sat across from each other, each side wondering what the other was truly capable of. Shadow Emperor Alpha, though, from his presence and aura alone, was clearly the most powerful and dominant person in the room, with his dark power armor and his shady appearance mostly hidden by shadows. It was clear that he had tricks up his sleeve that could allow for a flawless victory for him if ever there were a conflict, and thus he had the advantage in the negotiations because, in truth, if the Saturnians tried to go against his empire, he could easily just conquer them anyways if he so chose. The Saturnian leaders, though they knew that their people were not ready for war, also knew that they could not just roll over and submit to the Shadow Emperor Alpha's will. They had to find some way to maintain their independence while still finding a way to coexist with this new and powerful force in the system. But as they discussed in private, it became clear that either war or willing subjugation were their only choices. They had to find a way to appease the Shadow Emperor Alpha, to make him see that they could be valuable allies, not just subjects. They decided to offer him their most precious treasures, their knowledge and technology. They would reveal to him their greatest scientific breakthroughs, their most advanced medical techniques, and even their secrets of space travel and planetary colonization. The Shadow Emperor Alpha, though intrigued, was not fooled. He saw through their offer, sensing that it was a trap, an attempt to lull him into a false sense of security. He knew that the Saturnians were clever, cunning, and capable of hiding their true intentions. He suspected that they were planning something, biding their time until they found a way to strike against him. Despite this, the Shadow Emperor Alpha decided to play along for the time being. He accepted their offer, promising to uphold their sovereignty and protect their people as long as they continued to share their knowledge and technology with him. He also made it clear that he expected them to remain loyal and faithful to his empire, and that any acts of aggression or betrayal would not be tolerated. In the following months, the Saturnians and the Shadow Emperor. Alpha's forces began a mutually beneficial collaboration. The Saturnians taught the Shadow Emperor Alpha's scientists and engineers advanced techniques in space travel, planetary colonization, and medical technology, while his soldiers and advisors shared their knowledge of warfare, strategy, and governance. Eventually, though, Shadow Emperor Alpha makes an unexpected, yet tactical move. He invites all of the leaders of Saturn into a meeting in their very own meeting room and puppets them into saying, live and broadcasted to all of the Saturnians, that were they to die, the planet Saturn would then go into the control of the Empire of Shadowstein as so to make sure that it is safe. This, of course, causes an uproar amongst the Saturnian people, as they feel betrayed and used by their own leaders. Riots break out in the streets, and the Saturnian military begins to secretly arm itself, preparing for a possible war. Then, the broadcasting cuts off, secretly cut off by Shadow Emperor Alpha himself, who then, in the blink of an eye, unleashes his tendrils of darkness and massacres all but a few of the Saturnian leaders. Then the few remaining bring out their enhanced laser weapons, able to fire lasers 1,000-fold greater than light speed. And yet Shadow Emperor Alpha is capable of intercepting them with his tendrils of darkness, and even is able to dodge them easily, then immediately massacring the remaining leaders. Then Shadow Emperor Alpha sets the scene to seem as if they all were assassinated, and he was the sole survivor and prepares himself to fake seem shocked, horrified, and traumatized, then reactivates the broadcast to put his plan of manipulation and deception of the people of Saturn into thinking he was the sole survivor of an assassination attempt that took the lives of their leaders, and thus leading to them willingly coming under his rule into motion. As the people of Saturn watch in horror and disbelief, Shadow Emperor Alpha plays his role to perfection, tears streaming down his cheeks, his voice choked with emotion as he vows to avenge the deaths of their beloved leaders and to protect their planet with his life. The Saturnians, their hearts filled with grief and rage, take up arms against the Shadowstein forces, launching a desperate attempt to repel the invaders and restore order to their world. Shadow Emperor Alpha then attends the ceremony of the willing annexation of the planet of Saturn into his empire of Shadowstein. He speaks to the crowd, his voice filled with grief and determination, as he promises to honor the memory of the slain leaders and protect their people. He pledges to bring peace, prosperity, and enlightenment to Saturn, claiming that their sacrifices will not be in vain. As he speaks, his tendrils of darkness slither about him, their movements sinister and foreboding, yet their presence and even existence hidden within his power armor. Meanwhile, Shadow Queen Lilith, Shadow King Mordecai, and Shadow Lord Lothar don't even know what to think. They all even suspect Shadow Emperor Alpha of massacring the Saturnian leaders himself, a crime they don't even know that they are completely correct about. The ceremony continues, with various representatives from the Saturnian government and military coming forward to pledge their allegiance to Shadow Emperor Alpha and the Empire of Shadowstein. Each one is met with a chilling gaze from the Shadow Emperor, as if he is sizing them up, determining their worth and loyalty. As the last of the Saturnian officials step forward, Shadow Emperor Alpha raises his hand, acknowledging their pledge. I accept your allegiance, on the condition that you serve with honor and loyalty. Your world is now ours, and together we shall shape its destiny. But know this, he continues, his voice growing cold and hard. Any who dare betray my trust, any who seek to undermine my rule, shall face the wrath of the Shadow Queen, the Shadow King, and the Shadow Lord themselves. A chill runs through the air as his words echo throughout the chamber. Even Shadow Queen Lilith, Shadow King Mordecai, and Shadow Lord Lothar seem unsettled by the implications of his words. They exchange glances, each unsure of what to make of this new development.
Part 6, Espionage Incarnate Part to the Empire of Celestia, feeling threatened by moves made by both of their rival empires, the Empire of Shadowstein, also Dr. Erebus' empire, decides to attempt to colonize Titan, the largest moon of the planet of Saturn, and thus the attempted colonization of the moon of Titan begins. The operation is a massive one, involving thousands of soldiers, scientists, engineers, and other personnel. The goal is to establish a self-sustaining colony on Titan, capable of withstanding the harsh environment and supporting human life. The first phase of the operation involves the construction of an extensive network of underground tunnels and habitats, protected from the hostile surface conditions. As the colony begins to take shape, tensions rise between the various factions within the Empire of Celestia. Some argue that the resources being poured into the Titan project could be better spent elsewhere, while others believe that it is vital to the Empire's survival. The debates become heated, and accusations of treason and sabotage fly. Emperor Solaris claims that if they don't colonize Titan, that they soon won't have a place to live due to having heard of plans of the Empire of Shadowstein, which could lead to them taking complete control of the planet Earth. This argument sways many who were on the fence about the Titan project, and tensions begin to ease as everyone rallies around the common goal of survival. The construction of the colony continues at a feverish pace, with workers pouring their hearts into the tunnels and habitats. As the months turn into years, however, cracks begin to form within the seemingly united front. Nemesis, now a trusted advisor to Dr. Erebus, becomes increasingly dissatisfied with the slow progress of their own empire's plans. He begins to wonder if they aren't missing out on vital information that could give them an edge over the Empire of Shadowstein and the Celestians. He proposes a risky mission to Dr. Erebus to infiltrate the Titan colony and extract any data they can find that might be useful. Dr. Erebus, intrigued by the idea, agrees to send Nemesis on the mission. Nemesis, disguised as a laborer, is smuggled into the colony under the cover of darkness. Once inside, he begins to navigate the vast network of tunnels and habitats, avoiding detection by the watchful eyes of the Celestian guards. Weeks turn into months, and Nemesis finally stumbles upon a secure computer terminal that appears to contain valuable data. He manages to bypass the security systems and begins to download the information onto a hidden memory drive. However, just as he's about to leave, he is discovered by a Celestian patrol. A desperate struggle ensues, and Nemesis narrowly manages to subdue the guards and make his escape.
Back at the secret underground lair of Dr. Erebus, Nemesis presents the stolen data to his master, Dr. Erebus pores over the information, his eyes gleaming with excitement. The data reveals that the Celestians have been developing a new type of weapon, codenamed Tartarus, which has the potential to tip the balance of power in their favor. This news comes as a shock to Nemesis, who hadn't expected the Celestians to be so advanced in their research. Dr. Erebus, however, is not deterred. Instead, he sees this as an opportunity to accelerate their own plans. He orders Nemesis to return to the Titan colony with a small team of operatives, infiltrate the Celestian laboratory, where the Tartarus weapon is being developed, and steal the plans for themselves. Nemesis hesitates, worried about the risks involved in such a bold mission, but Dr. Erebus reassures him that their success is crucial for the survival of their empire. Nemesis assembles a team of highly skilled agents, including himself, and begins to prepare for the infiltration. They study the layout of the Titan colony and the location of the laboratory, planning their every move with meticulous care. After weeks of training and preparation, they are ready to launch their operation. Under the cover of darkness, Nemesis and his team sneak past the outer defenses of the colony and make their way toward the laboratory. They navigate through a series of tunnels and hidden passageways, avoiding detection by the Celestian guards at all costs. The atmosphere grows increasingly tense as they draw closer to their target, and Nemesis can't shake the feeling that something is about to go wrong. Finally, they reach the entrance to the laboratory. Nemesis' heart is pounding in his chest as he peers through a small window, surveying the security measures inside. The laboratory appears to be heavily fortified, with state-of-the-art security systems and a team of highly trained Celestian scientists working around the clock to develop the Tartarus weapon. But when they go to steal it, they find the Emperor of Celestia, Emperor Solaris, there waiting for them, ready to finally show off his true power and combat prowess. The Emperor greets them with a sardonic smile. "Ah, Nemesis, I'd heard of your reputation. I'm impressed you made it this far. but I'm afraid your mission ends here. He raises his hand, and a blinding flash of light erupts from his fingertips, sending Nemesis and his team reeling back in pain. As they struggle to regain their bearings, the Emperor continues. You see, Nemesis, I've been expecting you. Your master, Dr. Erebus, has grown too powerful and arrogant. It's time for someone to put an end to his meddling. Nemesis, still smarting from the Emperor's attack, growls, you underestimate us. Emperor, we've come too far to turn back now. The Emperor chuckles, amused by Nemesis' bravado. Very well, Nemesis. If that is your wish, then you shall have your battle. With a wave of his hand, the laboratory is transformed into a vast arena, devoid of any furniture or equipment. The walls seem to stretch on 4 miles in every direction. The Emperor steps back, motioning for Nemesis and his team to approach. Very well, Nemesis, lead your team to victory or die trying. Nemesis nods grimly, his eyes never leaving the Emperor's. He turns to his team, who are all still reeling from the Emperor's attack. All right, listen up. We can't afford to be caught off guard again. Stay sharp and focus on the Emperor. We'll take him down together. The Emperor of Celestia smirks. Oh, Nemesis, you flatter me, but I assure you, your team will not be the ones to defeat me. It is you and you alone. Who shall fall this day? With that, the Emperor raises his hands, summoning a storm of celestial energy around him. Nemesis nods grimly, understanding the stakes. He turns to his team. All right, listen up. We need to divide and conquer. Some of you focus on distracting the Emperor while the rest of us try to sneak in a few hits. And remember, our goal is not just to defeat him, but to capture him alive. The battle begins with a fury. The Emperor of Celestia's celestial energy storm rains down upon them, creating whirlwinds and lightning strikes that tear through the arena. Nemesis and his team dodge and weave, trying to find an opening to attack. As they fight, they begin to see the Emperor's true form, a massive, ethereal being of pure celestial energy, surrounded by an aura of power that deflects their attacks. Nemesis, sensing an opportunity, charges the Emperor, his sword glowing with dark energy. The Emperor, amused by the display, casually swats him aside with a wave of his hand. Nemesis rolls across the floor, tasting blood in his mouth. He spits it out and leaps to his feet, his eyes blazing with anger. He knows they can't rely on brute force alone. Meanwhile, another member of the team, a skilled illusionist named Phantom, begins to weave a web of deceptive images around the Emperor, making it appear as if enemies are attacking him from all sides. The Emperor growls, his focus shifting momentarily as he struggles to discern the real threat. This gives Nemesis second in command, a powerful sorceress named Silara, the opening she needs. Silara unleashes a blast of arcane energy at the Emperor. Aiming for a weak spot she spotted earlier, the blast connects, and the Emperor stumbles back, his aura of power momentarily weakened. Seeing their opportunity, Nemesis and Phantom charge forward, while Silara continues to unleash a barrage of magical attacks. The battle becomes a chaotic dance of blades and sorcery, as Nemesis and his team desperately try to bring down the Emperor of Celestia. The Emperor, however, is no mere mortal and soon regains his composure. With a wave of his hand, he sends Nemesis and Phantom flying through the air, crashing into the arena walls with bone-shattering force. Nemesis struggles to stand, blood pouring from his mouth and nose, but he refuses to give up. He looks over at Silara, who is now surrounded by the Emperor's energy storm, her body convulsing as she tries to shield herself from the onslaught. With a final burst of strength, Nemesis pushes himself to his feet and charges the Emperor once more. This time, he aims not for the Emperor's body, but for the glowing sword that hangs at his side. The blade hums with celestial energy as Nemesis closes in, but he doesn't flinch. With a savage swing, he connects, severing the weapon from its master's grasp. Emperor Solaris then sends him flying with swing of his hand. and they realize that they simply can't win this battle, and decide to retreat to fight another day. Nemesis quickly gathers the remaining members of his team, Phantom and Silara, and they find a hidden tunnel leading out of the laboratory. They flee through the tunnels, evading Celestian guards and security systems. Nemesis keeps glancing over his shoulder, knowing that the Emperor is probably close behind. But Emperor Solaris has decided to let them live. After all, he is a noble and good man with honor, and is better than to attack already retreating opponents. As Nemesis and his team make their way through the tunnels, they can't help but wonder what the Emperor's true intentions are. Nemesis, still feeling the weight of the sword he has stolen, wonders if they can use it to their advantage. Phantom, the silent assassin, is already formulating plans on how to eliminate the Emperor and take control of the weapon. Silara, the empath, is conflicted. She can sense that the Emperor is not entirely evil, but she also knows that he is a threat to the people they are trying to protect. Meanwhile, the Empire of Celestia continues their colonization of the moon of Titan. In the heart of the colony, Emperor Solaris sits upon his throne, his sword, Seraphim, resting beside him. He muses over the recent events and wonders if Nemesis's actions are a sign of something greater. His thoughts are interrupted by the arrival of a messenger bearing news of the infiltration and theft of classified information. The Emperor knows that he must act swiftly to maintain control. Then, after the ceremony, Shadow Emperor Alpha then decides to head down to Earth in order to attempt to reform the sacred relic, but under his control, and thus bring the planet Earth fully under the control of the Empire of Shadowstein, and thus him, as he prepares to leave. Shadow Queen Lilith, Shadow King Mordecai, and Shadow Lord Lothar approach him, concerned about his decision to leave Saturn unguarded, even for a short while, given the current turmoil and uncertainty. Shadow Emperor Alpha, however, brushes off their concerns, assuring them that he has the situation on Saturn well in hand, and that the Empire will only be stronger with the addition of Earth. This leaves them confused, considering the Empire already controls the Earth, sharing control of it with the rival Empire of Celestia. But Shadow Emperor Alpha gives no further context nor explanation, and heads to Earth in his own personal ship. As Shadow Emperor Alpha's ship leaves the Saturnian shipyard, Shadow Queen Lilith, Shadow King Mordecai, and Shadow Lord Lothar watch from a distance, their eyes filled with worrying and uncertainty. They can't help but feel that something is amiss, that the Shadow Emperor has a plan they are not privy to. The air is thick with tension as they exchange uneasy glances, each unsure of what to make of this new development. As Shadow Emperor Alpha approaches Earth, he can't help but have flashbacks about his awful past and childhood early life in Asia in the year 719, or when the God Emperor Marcus Aurelius reset time when he had only just started to achieve his full potential in the year 1004 as the new power, or as he called himself back then, the Shadow God, or when the same God Emperor Marcus Aurelius and his descendant God Emperor Aldrich snapped him away into near death in the year 2130 or so, and, well, he can't help but feel furious at the God Emperors, but especially at God Emperor Marcus Aurelius for what that man did to him, and, well, he remembers weakening the Empire of Sanctity's forces from the shadows in the Battle of Vatican City in the year 1000, and that, yet, they still rose, and their second emperor, Marcus Aurelius, had become the God Emperor who kept ruining his life, and finally, he thinks about how satisfying it will be when he reforms, and corrupts the God Emperor's precious sacred relic and utterly ruins their reputation forever. Then his ship finally arrives on Earth, and he can immediately sense where all of the sacred relic pieces and sacred artifacts are, and unleashes his tendrils of darkness across the entire planet and brings them all to them. And, well, he needs no dumb ritual to put the sacred relic back together. Then, well, he corrupts it, brings it completely under his control, and thus, the entire Earth, like those dumb god emperors did twice before, but now, it is under the control of someone who actually deserves it, himself, and now, the Empire of Shadowstein completely controls the Earth, and the Empire of Celestia now no longer controls even half of it. The Empire of Celestia then decides to attempt to construct the Celestial Fleet, and if that succeeds, they will then attempt to retake the asteroid belt, and thus, the attempted construction of the Celestial Fleet begins. The Celestial Fleet would consist of several massive warships, each capable of housing a small colony and housing tens of thousands of soldiers. The construction of these warships would take several days and literal tons of resources, but the Empire of Celestia was determined to complete them. During this time, tensions between them and the Erebusian Empire continued to rise. Emperor Solaris knew that he could not afford to be complacent and began to assemble a team of agents to infiltrate Erebium and gather more information on Dr. Erebus and his forces. The team was led by his most trusted advisor, Lord Argus, and included several skilled operatives, including the cyborg assassin known as Reaper and the elementalist mage named Seraphim. Their mission was to gather intelligence on Erebium's defenses, locate any weaknesses they could exploit, and if possible, sabotage the force field generator or assassinate Dr. Erebus himself. It was a dangerous and daring mission, but with the fate of their empire hanging in the balance, they had no choice but to take the risk. The team's infiltration of Erebium was meticulously planned, with Lord Argus leading them through the labyrinthine tunnels and hidden passages that crisscrossed the alien planet. They moved with stealth and precision, avoiding detection by Erebium's patrols and sentries. As they neared their target, Lord Argus signaled for Reaper and Seraphim to take up position on either side of him. "All right, here's the plan," Lord Argus whispered. "Reaper, you'll take out any guards that get in our way. Seraphim, you focus on sabotaging the force field generator. Once that's done, we'll head in and finish the job." The team nodded in agreement and split up. Reaper crept silently through the darkness, his knives at the ready. Seraphim followed, her movements graceful and deadly. They reached a large chamber where several guards stood watch over the force field generator. Reaper sprang into action, dispatching them quickly and efficiently. As the guards fell, Seraphim moved towards the generator. She expertly disconnected several key components and began to sabotage the machine. Lord Argus and Reaper remained in the shadows, watching her work. After several tense moments, the generator began to malfunction, sparks flying and energy crackling. The team waited for a moment, making sure the guards didn't return, before moving towards the control room where they knew Dr. Erebus would be waiting. They hurried through the corridors, the walls glowing with the power of the stolen technology. Finally, they reached the control room and burst in. Dr. Erebus looked up from his console in surprise. Well, if it isn't the Emperor's little lapdogs, he sneered. "I was expecting you." They weren't expecting him to seemingly have a form composed of pure solid celestial energy, and thusly, most of their plans for ways to kill him swiftly went out the window. Additionally, as well due to the effectively omnipotent power he possessed, the force field generator, now offline, flickered and died, its blue energy dissipating into the ether. "Ah, Seraphim, you've done well to destroy the force field," Dr. Erebus said, his voice eerily calm. "But you see, my power does not rely on it. I am far more than just this ship, this planet, or this force field." Seraphim growled in frustration. "Then, what do you mean to do? We can still stop you, Erebus. We have the Emperor's orders." Dr. Erebus smiled, his expression both chilling and serene. "Ah, the Emperor, such a fool. He thinks he can control me. He thinks he can use me to further his own pathetic ambitions. But he is wrong. He has always been wrong, and now it is time for him to learn the truth." Seraphim narrowed her eyes. her hands clenching into fists. And what truth is that, Erebus? That you're a madman who wants to destroy everything. Doctor, Erebus laughed, the sound echoing through the chamber. Ah, Seraphim, you flatter me. No, I am not mad. I am simply driven by a purpose, far greater than your petty emperor's ambitions. The universe is changing, my dear, and those who cannot adapt will be left behind. The Celestial Empire is a relic of a bygone age, and I am its harbinger of change. The team, realizing victory here is out of the picture, decides to retreat with at least one of their missions completed and return to the Empire, not waste their value in a suicidal battle with an omnipotent mad scientist emperor. They turn to leave as Dr. Erebus continues his chilling monologue. You will tell the Emperor this, my friends, I have no desire to destroy him. Quite the opposite. In fact, I wish for him to join me, to see the truth of what I am doing and embrace it. But if he refuses, if he insists on fighting me, then so be it, for I will show no mercy. I will burn his empire to the ground, and from the ashes, a new world will rise. Seraphim glances back at Dr. Erebus, her face contorted with anger and determination. We'll see about that, Erebus. The Celestial Empire will not be so easily undone. With that, they make their way back through the secret tunnels, their hearts heavy with the knowledge of what they've faced and the challenges that still lie ahead. Lord Argus and Reaper both also feel the exact same way as Seraphim does, as they make their way through the secret tunnels, their hearts heavy with the knowledge of what they've faced and the challenges that still lie ahead. They can't help but feel a newfound respect for Dr. Erebus. He's not some power-hungry madman, but a man with a vision. A man who's tired of the old ways and wants to bring about change. And while they may not agree with his methods or his goals, they can't deny the fact that he's intelligent, resourceful, and capable of inspiring loyalty from his followers. They return back to Emperor Solaris, where the Celestial Fleet has been completed. The news of Erebium's force field generator being destroyed and Dr. Erebus' taunting words spread across the Empire, fueling fear and uncertainty amongst the citizens. Emperor Solaris holds a grand assembly to address the situation, and the three infiltrators take their places on the dais beside him. The tension in the air is thick as the Emperor begins to speak. Citizens of the Celestial Empire, we face a grave threat. Dr. Erebus, our former ally, has turned against us and seeks to tear down all that we have built. His words, while chilling, are not empty threats. He has the means and the will to carry them out. But fear not, for we will not cower in the face of danger. Emperor Solaris pauses, his gaze flickering to Seraphim and the other two infiltrators before continuing. We have faced adversity before, and we have emerged stronger. We will do the same now. Our forces are ready, and the Celestial Fleet stands before us as a testament to our resilience and determination. We will not back down. We will not surrender.